Hello everyone. I am Annelise Salzer, and I am director of the French Lean Institute, and I am delighted to be with you today to welcome and introduce Cécile Roche's presentations. Cécile is the author of a lot of Lean books in French and English, and also member of the board of the French Lean Institute. Today, she's going to talk us about a theme she knows particularly well and on which she has written a book. I've got it in French. Oh, sorry, not very well to see it, but I've got it. And now this book is in English. It's about lean engineering. This theme is at the heart of the lean approach, but still relatively unknown. That's why it's very interesting, I think, to be with you and with us today. Cécile, the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Annelise. Hello, everybody. So I will share some slides to help me to speak with you about lean engineering. My point is about the travel from customer to people, because of course, lean engineering starts first by understanding the customer. So if we try to summarize lean with a few simple ideas, because it's always, you can speak about lean in different ways, but a simple way to think about lean is to say that we believe deeply some element in lean. We believe deeply that the success of the company comes from customer satisfaction. I know that seems to be very obvious, and a friend of me told me, oh, you say that, it's so old. We say that last century. Yes, we say that last century, but understanding really what does it mean customer satisfaction is not so obvious. The second point that is, for me, really typical of lean is that we think that the profitability of the company comes from the creativity of the employees. And it starts to make a difference with lean and other approaches. That is, we think it is not the question to say to people what to do, but to make people think about the way they work. And the creativity is fundamental to the profitability of the company. And the third point is also very important, because it's not only to sell product and to be profitable, it's to do that on a sustainable way. Sustainable in terms of year after year, but also sustainable in terms of the use of resources that we do. And for lean, the sustainability of the company comes from respect from people and respect for the ecosystem. So regarding that, we can summarize it in a simple sentence that I love, that is, first do the right thing, then do it right. Do first the right product to ensure the customer satisfaction, and then do it right to ensure profitability to the company. A company can be summarized by also a simple model. A company is based first on customers, clients, who need to solve problems, because if they have no problem, they don't need us, and products that offer a solution to this problem. We can think in terms of product as a facility, a service, anything that we deliver to the customer. And we also have, and today it's the COP28, so a particularly important point, the civil society with waiting commitment for the resources for the future, for sustainability. So in terms of lean, we often think in terms of waste. What are the waste? We think about Muda, Muri, Moura. But if we think in terms of product, what are the biggest waste of the company? The very first biggest waste for me is that when we have products that do not meet the customer need. You cannot imagine a biggest waste. The second waste is when products are not matching the company's capability. To say simply, we are not able to produce them, we are not able to maintain them, we are not able to recycle them at the cost that we have in mind. And of course, the last one is when engineering goes wrong. Generally, the managers are thinking about this point. We are spending more money or more time to make our development. But in fact, the very first one is when you are not working on the good topic. So if we make a simple picture of the company, another way to say it is to say that At the same time, we need permanently to increase value for the customer and for the society, and we need to reduce cost. And it's a permanent tension because, of course, when you reduce cost, you take the risk to reduce also the value, and when you increase value, you take the risk also to increase the cost, meaning that this permanent tension is a normal situation, and you need to sustain these 2 points. And to do that, I'm going back to the creativity of people. To do that, we need to understand very well value. We need to understand very well cost. Where are done the value and the costs? So if we come back to the big waste, the first point, when we have products that are not meeting the customer needs, we can think that we need absolutely to develop knowledge of customer, knowledge of market, knowledge of competitors to ensure that everybody in the company is really understanding what is the real problem. If we take the second one, products that do not match the company's capabilities, it's also a question of knowledge. What is the knowledge that we need to develop about new technologies, about our capabilities, about our suppliers that are, of course, a very important part of our development. And the point is that we need to control the solution that we propose throughout all the product life cycle, from the first ideas to recycling. That is also a very important topic today. And the third one, when engineering is going wrong, when we are spending more money and more time to make our development, the question is generally that, in fact, we don't know exactly what we don't know. The problem is always of rework, waiting times, because we are not working on the right solution. We are not working on the right topic. So the last point is also about knowledge. How do we develop knowledge on what we know, what we don't know, what we should learn, who should talk to whom? Because often, very often in the companies, we are working in silo mode. It's a very classical way of thinking. And everybody is doing a right job in his own silo, but globally, the flow is not at all a good one. So who should talk to whom is the end point of this point. So to avoid all the nonsense that costs a lot of time and money, we need to develop knowledge. And if we have a short zoom, a short loop on each point, I will just share with you very simply and very shortly some tools that we propose to work on that. The first point, customer satisfaction. So do the right thing. And when we think about our product, we can describe them in terms of trade-offs. We need to make a product that is meeting customer and society need, that is meeting company strategy, that is meeting company capacities. And when you do this sort of picture, you can see that, and it's the reality, the central dot is very small. To say that in terms of product, we need to make products that are desirable, profitable, and feasible. And this is not so obvious. And this is the very first trade-off of product that we need to do. What is interesting is that when we need to understand the knowledge we need to develop, a very good entry door in this knowledge is to identify where are the trade-offs. Here we are speaking about a company trade-off, but we have also trade-off, technical trade-off in the product. We have trade-off everywhere. And each time we identify a trade-off, meaning a situation where two parameters are apparently different, we are quite sure that we will have something to understand and something to learn. So the very first, the first tool that we use is what we call concept paper. And concept paper is an A3 sheet, because we love A3 sheets in Lean. On the left, the focus is on value, meaning that we are describing our product in the words and in the shoes of the customers and of the market. What is the vision? What are the customer targeted? What are the customer needs and the problem to solve, what are the competitors, and so on. All of this is described in terms of the customer. We are thinking and we are describing with radars, with key value attributes, what is the view of the customer on the product. And on the right, we are more working on the cost, meaning the way we are translating these customer words into technical requirements. But we don't start by requirements. For example, when someone told me last week, I want to develop an app that is fresh. What does it mean, fresh? It's a point of view, a customer. It means nice, modern, a few clicks. How do you translate this in technical requirements? Saying fresh means no more than 3 clicks, means this type of colors, and so on and so on. So on the left, the value, on the right, the cost, saying the translation of the value in the company's work. So we are speaking about company business objective because we have some strategy, global strategy, the target concept of the product, the key figures, the key constraint, what is the target cost, and so on. And this is a perfect summary to be the North Star of the team development team. So it's the entry door of how do we work deeply on understanding the value for the customer. Then the second point, that is profitability linked to the creativity of the employees. And when we have seen that the main question is, do we know what we know? Do we know what we don't know? That is very difficult. The normal way of doing, and I don't want to say normal, but generally what we do, we start by what we know because it's easier. And in Lean, we propose to start by what we don't know and what we need to learn. And this learning is something in the head of people. We can use many tools for that. We can use AI. We can use discussing with the customer. We can use many points, but it's in the head of someone. I like this small matrix because it's a very good summary. As usual, it's a model, so models are always wrong, but some of them are useful. So this matrix, you have on one hand the customer problem, that is the gap that we need to close the problem. And on the other part, the solution, that is our product. And do we know or we don't know the problem? We know or we don't know the solution. And we can see that these 4 parts are very different. If you don't know the solution and you don't know the problem, you are in research. You are really developing creativity of people. If you don't know the customer problem, but you know a solution, it's more a techno push. I have a very good idea, and where is the customer that could be interested by my idea? The main part of our development is on the left of this matrix, meaning we know what is the customer need, or we know more or less well what is the customer need. And first case, we know how to do. So we can do plannings, we can do plans, schedules, and so on. Or we don't know how to do. We do not know the solution to this problem. And in this case, you can do schedule as long as you want. You will be late because you don't know. So what is interesting is that we can see very easily that it's amazing to think that we will use the same process, the same way of working in all these cases. So always the same idea that is very important when we are doing development. The main topic that we are working on is knowledge. And if we are in a control situation, meaning we know how to do, we know what to do, we can foresee, we can plan, we have to execute, we have to solve problems because, of course, reality is never as simple as we have in mind, but the problems are more deviation for the forecast. When we are in an uncontrolled situation, meaning we don't know, we have surprises, we don't know how to do, it's not at all the same thing. We need to frame, we need to explore, we need to test, and solving problems is more reducing knowledge gap than deviation. So no way that the same process can be applied in these cases. And what is sure is that uncertainties and contradiction, meaning uncertainties, we are in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, and so on and so on. So COVID, so war in Israel, in Ukraine, and so on. The world is full of uncertainties. Contradictions, all the trade-off we have seen. These 2 points are very good entry points to identify where we need to develop knowledge. And the point is that when we are speaking about lean in development, we are thinking with the same principle that lean, generally speaking, thinking in terms of flow, thinking in terms of problem solving, of Kaizen, developing people, of course, starting by customer. But the flow is very specific. It is a flow of knowledge, meaning that the backbone of the development will be organized around the knowledge to be acquired. What are the knowledge gaps that we need to close, and in which order we will close this knowledge gap. So to do that, we need, and it's very a basic, very important basic of a lean manager, to give the people, sorry, the condition to acquire the right knowledge. So first, we need to identify knowledge gap, because we want to reduce them. We want to identify conflict, because of course, we have conflict. We have conflict between increasing the value and reducing the cost, but we have conflict about technical solution. We have conflict everywhere. And it is a good thing, because if you have no conflict in a company, you have no creativity. If everybody agrees on a solution, it's probably because it's a very well known, but okay, no innovation. So identifying conflict and transforming this conflict into creative energy and not in a fight or battles, it's a second management point, very important. Identifying problems and solving them, of course, meaning that we show to people, we use visual management, generally speaking, for example, in Obeya, to permit to everyone to see where are the gaps, where are the problems. And more generally speaking, how to understand the condition of people. It's not to say to people what to do, it's to observe the condition they have to succeed. So to summarize, how do we clarify the success for everyone, to show the gaps and learn who needs to talk to whom, because no problem will be solved by only one. So an Obeya is really the place to organize this discussion, to identify the gap, identify the conflict, identify the problems. And in fact, we sometimes see Obeyas where we have on the walls everything to monitor and control the development, the project, and so on. For me, it is not the topic. We have in our computers all the tools to control, all the tools to monitor. The point is the Obeya is the place where people will have the good discussion. And to ensure that people will have the good discussion, we will visualize uncertainties, we will identify the conflict, we will co-elaborate solution, we will improve success condition, generally speaking, meaning that this will move, this will change. If you are at the beginning of the development, the knowledge gap are not the same that if you are working with the manufacturing to ensure manufacturing engineering. It will not be the same thing if we are with a subcontractor and so on and so forth. So meaning that the Obeya is an evolutive tool, but the obsession is always to ensure that we are showing to everybody where are the gaps, where are the conflicts, where are the trade-offs, to ensure that we are discussing on the right topic. So this map is a summary of the global travel that we have in lean engineering. So it's a funny way to show different tools. You see on this map the customer radar, the concept paper that is between the territory of customer and the territory of product. The concept paper make the relation. You have here the chief engineer, that is someone very important. You have at the center the Gemba, because of course, go on the place where things happen is the same very good practices. You can see many other tools or practices, trade-off curves, target costing, value analysis, value engineering, set-based concurrent engineering, so far. The point is to show that these tools are part of a system, and the system is how do we go from the territory of the customer, the left part of the concept paper, to the territory of the product, the right part of the concept paper, through the territory of people. And development of people is going from opinions to data to information, and from information to knowledge. And the difference is that opinion, okay, I think so, I know that, I'm sure that, we know that what is good for you, and so on and so on. Data, okay, you have data, but what to do with data? Changing data into information means having data in a context, because it's always a question of context, of use cases. And then going from information to knowledge means that we are in the brain of people. There is no knowledge without the brain of people. And when we are speaking about knowledge management, with tools for knowledge management, it's a wrong thing. It's a information management. But the knowledge is how people are taking this information to make knowledge in a right context, in a right use case, and use it to solve the right problem. And the point is always the same. What is the right problem? Because in life we have plenty of problems, and in development we have plenty of problems. But how are we sure that we are focusing on the right problem, meaning the right product for the right customer and the right knowledge to acquire? So the last territory, the territory of people development, is really showing a flow of knowledge, and the organization of your schedule, of your plans in development is based on a flow of knowledge, meaning it's no longer a theoretical schedule where we do the specification, we list the requirements, then we do the design, then we have prototypes and so on and so forth, but more, what is the knowledge we need to acquire? What are the knowledge gaps that we need to close, and to organize our schedule following this flow of knowledge. So this is a very brief summary. You see that we have on this map many words, many tools like dojos, like value, VIV, target costing. All these tools we can develop a long time, particularly set-based concurrent engineering, that is a complex and very powerful approach that is particularly adapted when we are in the situation when we know what to do, but we don't know how to do. And set-based is a very good tool. And for that, of course, it's a longer learning to use. But what is important is to understand that the backbone of all of that, what makes the difference between tools and a system, is that we are thinking in terms of knowledge that we need to acquire. Okay, so this is a very brief summary of the book Annelies presented at the beginning, and that is just now translated in English, that we wrote with Luc Delamotte, the co-author of this book, where you will have a very generic, like a travel guide. The first part is more on generic ideas, vocabulary, history, what is the good guide that you can have. And the second part is really focused on what are the roads that you have to follow to solve your problems, and the roles with the presentation of the tool, but really as a system. So I think it's time for question.
Do you have question for Cécile? For the moment, no question. Does it work for only manufacturing or also services, the lean engineering, Cécile?
In fact, lean engineering is really thinking in terms of product. A product is an answer, a solution to a customer problem. So you can have solutions that are services, you can have solutions that are equipment, you can have solutions that are software, and so on. And it applies very well. When you think in terms of knowledge gap, you are thinking about all type of products. But some tools, if we look in details on the tools, some tools are more adapted to equipment. Some tools, for example, when you do tear down, it's more a physical approach. But generally speaking, thinking in terms of knowledge is completely good for every type of product in a wide sense.
Okay. Another question for Cécile? We've got some little heart or little little hands. Bravo. Was it the first time for you that you heard about lean engineering? I took it to the spectators. Okay.
So in fact, lean engineering is a wide word. There are a lot of misunderstanding about that. It's the reason why I focus on this question of knowledge, because sometimes we just say, okay, it's like lean manufacturing, but we will calculate other mudas, we will adapt things. Yes, it's the same thing in a way of the principle. The principle is we put in place a system to show the problems and to make people think to their job, not telling them how to do, but making them thinking the way they are doing things to improve it. And this is a principle that is absolutely the same in manufacturing, in engineering. But the big difference is that there are two differences. The first is that in manufacturing, things are visible, and you have recurring activities generally. When you are in engineering, in development, things are not visible. They are in the computers, they are in the head of people, and we are in non-recurring activity, meaning that the translation of working in flow is not the same when you are working in a recurring activity and non-recurring activity. So the tools are not the same, the principles are strictly the same. We need to understand our customer to make our success. We need to let people, to give to people condition to think, to develop their creativity, to solve problems.
Cécile, one question. Lean is old. Sometimes we hear that said in English. We are all agile now. What is your opinion about that?
Lean is an auto-adaptative approach. It's probably the reason why it's an old one and still very modern. Because as we are not telling to people what to do, but giving to people the condition to understand their problem, we include all the variation in condition, in environment. We can use now IA, we can use, but always thinking how IA will help us to solve problem and not how IA will give our will do the job and make me stopping thinking. And the way we use the tool is always the same. The tools are not the same. So for me, it's an auto-adaptative approach. It's why it's a so sustainable approach.
Thank you very much, Cécile. It's the end of our webinar. I think it's time to leave and to go to listen to other speakers. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cécile.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.